On a sun-drenched Sunday, I embarked on a mundane errand, driving my wife's car to procure a couple of new lawn chairs. To accompany this mission, I tuned into the familiar program called This American Life on the National Public Radio channel, allowing myself to be ensnared by the enthralling narratives they were spinning. As I traversed the asphalt arteries, I caught wind of a book recommendation over the radio waves that seized my interest, compelling me to hastily jot down its title. With one hand firmly on the wheel, I navigated the labyrinthine depths of the center console with the other, fumbling amongst an assortment of detritus that had amassed over time: a crumpled honey wrapper, a folded Starbucks drink package, a lone quarter, and even a collapsible comb. Amidst this eclectic clutter, I stumbled upon something wholly unexpected: a package of contraceptives. The sudden revelation jolted me, causing a momentary lapse in my grip on the steering wheel, nearly sending me careening off course. Such instances, frozen in time, etched themselves into memory, each frame playing out in slow motion. A scarlet Toyota darted past me on the left, driven by a red-haired girl with a dangling earring, snapping me back to the present. My eyes flicked to the speedometer, registering a modest 34 miles per hour, while dust particles danced lazily on the dashboard, bearing witness to the inexorable march of time. Anticipating the impending green traffic light, a sense of assurance washed over me, underscored by the flattened remnants of beetles adorning the windshield, silent witnesses to past journeys. Yet, as I retrieved the CD case, its jagged edges unexpectedly grazed my wrist, jolting me out of my reverie. These unfamiliar sensations plunged me into a maelstrom of confusion, making coherent thought an elusive quarry. Amidst this cacophony, a nagging question clawed its way to the surface. Had I ever asked myself, is this mine? Had I ever entertained the specter of infidelity, its tendrils snaking through the recesses of my mind? Thoughts, unlike images, possess a disorienting propensity for disorder, leaving me grappling with an onslaught of tangled emotions. Perhaps it was the specter of guilt, born from inadvertently unearthing a potentially dark secret, or the specter of fear, looming large in the shadows of uncertainty. Methodically, I combed through every nook and cranny of the car, from glove compartment to trunk, meticulously scrutinizing each crevice for signs of incrimination. My efforts bore fruit when, tucked beneath the passenger seat, I unearthed a small package shrouded in a plastic supermarket bag. Gingerly unwrapping it, I uncovered a compact spiral-bound notebook, my heart pounding a staccato rhythm as I pried it open. The initial pages lay blank, stoking the fires of curiosity, until my gaze fell upon a series of cryptic lists, one entry ominously crossed out. Under normal circumstances, such lists may have passed unnoticed, but a pattern began to emerge, weaving a sinister tapestry of deceit. The schedule of my work-related excursions, the crossed-out date marking the day of my unexpected illness, all led to a singular conclusion. The presence of the contraceptive served as an ominous harbinger, directing my thoughts towards the hotels I frequented during my trips. Piece by painstaking piece, the puzzle coalesced, culminating in a chilling revelation: a clandestine rendezvous scheduled for the following day at precisely 1:30 p.m. at the Travel Lodge or Holiday Inn. Shock and disbelief mingled within me, as I desperately clung to the hope that my assumptions were erroneous, that there existed some other plausible explanation. Yet, the damning evidence seemed to paint a damning portrait of betrayal, leaving me to grapple with the crushing weight of betrayal and deceit. Confronting the harsh reality of my crumbling marriage, I was forced to acknowledge the devastating truth that my wife had been entangled in a clandestine affair for a staggering 4 months. This revelation shattered any lingering illusions I might have harbored, dispelling the notion that her indiscretions were merely isolated incidents. The weight of the evidence, incontrovertible and damning, left no room for doubt, serving as a stark testament to the gravity of her betrayal and the depth of her deceit. As the unsettling realization settled over me like a suffocating shroud, I found myself grappling with a tumult of conflicting emotions, each vying for dominance within the recesses of my fractured psyche. On one hand, there simmered a cauldron of resentment and anger, fueled by the profound sense of betrayal and injustice inflicted upon me by the woman I had once loved and trusted implicitly. The sheer magnitude of her betrayal left me reeling, questioning the validity of our entire relationship and deeming her wholly undeserving of the love and devotion I had so freely bestowed upon her. Yet, amidst the roiling tempest of negative emotions, A flicker of love and longing still smoldered within the depths of my heart, complicating the already complex tapestry of emotions that enveloped me. The daunting prospect of confronting her with this painful truth loomed ominously on the horizon, casting a long shadow over my every thought and action. The mere thought of facing her, of holding her accountable for her actions, filled me with a bone-deep dread that threatened to consume me whole. Questions swirled incessantly within the confines of my troubled mind, each one more agonizing than the last. How could I move forward from this devastating revelation? How could I reconcile the irreconcilable? As doubts and insecurities gnawed at the fringes of my consciousness, I found myself plagued by a litany of troubling questions, each one a dagger aimed squarely at the heart of my already fractured trust. Was she involved in something illicit? Did she harbor a hidden agenda, concealed beneath layers of deceit and subterfuge? What drove the need for such clandestine behavior? And, perhaps most troubling of all, what if her affections had shifted, redirected towards another person, even another woman? Uncertainty and confusion reigned supreme, ensnaring me in a tangled web of emotions from which there seemed to be no escape. Lacking sufficient information to make sense of the situation, I felt utterly adrift, unsure of how best to navigate the treacherous waters of betrayal and heartache that lay before me. How could I approach her, initiate a conversation that would inevitably lay bare the painful truth of her infidelity? As I grappled with these existential quandaries, a startling revelation unfolded before me, unveiling a truth more devastating than I could have ever imagined. My wife, it seemed, had uncovered my own closely guarded secret, my infertility. In a misguided quest for fulfillment, she had turned to my own brother, seeking solace and companionship in his arms. The sheer magnitude of this betrayal sent shivers cascading down my spine, emphasizing the depth of secrets and deception that had festered within the confines of our once happy marriage. In the wake of this staggering revelation, I found myself cast adrift in a sea of uncertainty and despair, unsure of how to proceed in the face of such profound betrayal. Was I truly infertile, as she claimed? And if so, why had I never revealed this truth to her, opting instead to guard it as fiercely as any state secret? The sheer weight of these unanswered questions threatened to overwhelm me, leaving me feeling utterly lost and adrift in a world devoid of meaning or purpose. In the darkness of that fateful night, I found myself assuming the guise of a familiar stranger, donning the mask of normalcy in a desperate bid to conceal the turmoil that raged within me. As my wife attempted to engage me in conversation, I feigned distraction, citing a looming deadline as justification for my aloofness. In truth, however, my mind was consumed by thoughts of betrayal and heartache, leaving me adrift in a sea of uncertainty and despair. The following morning, as I embarked on my solitary journey, I found myself drawn inexorably towards the site of my wife's indiscretion, the old Holiday Inn, a relic of a bygone era that stood as a silent witness to the myriad secrets and betrayals that had unfolded within its walls. With each passing moment, the weight of my actions bore down upon me, threatening to crush me beneath their crushing weight. As I stood before the reception desk, a sense of trepidation washed over me, mingling with the palpable tension that hung heavy in the air. With a heavy heart, I made my intentions known, seeking access to the surveillance footage in a desperate bid to uncover the truth behind my wife's infidelity. Yet, despite my best efforts in stark contrast to the idyllic facade of my marriage, a harsh reality came crashing down upon me like a relentless wave. My wife had been engaged in a clandestine affair for a period spanning 4 agonizing months. This revelation shattered any semblance of hope I harbored for its isolation, as the evidence unequivocally pointed to her infidelity, revealing a depth of deception that left me reeling. A profound sense of betrayal gnawed at the core of my being, mingling with conflicting emotions that waged a fierce internal battle. On one hand, a seething tide of resentment and anger surged within me, fueled by a sense of betrayal and injustice, rendering her unworthy of my affection or attention. Yet, paradoxically, amidst the wreckage of trust lay the lingering embers of love, stubbornly refusing to be extinguished despite the betrayal. The daunting prospect of confronting her loomed ominously on the horizon, casting a shadow of fear and uncertainty over my already tumultuous emotions. How does one navigate the treacherous waters of such a conversation, fraught with potential landmines of accusation, denial, and shattered illusions? The weight of unanswered questions pressed down upon me like a leaden burden, suffocating any semblance of clarity or resolution. As I grappled with the devastating implications of her betrayal, a chilling revelation unfurled before me like a sinister tapestry. Not only had she engaged in infidelity, but she had also meticulously maintained a covert list, shrouded in secrecy and elusive in its intentions. This clandestine revelation struck at the very heart of our relationship, eroding the foundations of trust upon which it was built and plunging me into an abyss of doubt and uncertainty. Amidst the tumult of emotions and unanswered questions, a chilling realization dawned upon me with chilling clarity: the possibility of irreparable damage inflicted upon our relationship, irretrievably shattered by the insidious tendrils of infidelity. As I grappled with the profound implications of her betrayal, I found myself adrift in a sea of uncertainty, navigating the treacherous waters of deception and mistrust with a heavy heart and a weary soul. Yet, amidst the wreckage of shattered trust and broken dreams, a flicker of resilience stirred within me, igniting a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. For even in the darkest of nights, the faintest spark has the power to illuminate the path forward, guiding us through the labyrinth of betrayal towards the light of redemption and healing. The situation encompasses not just one, but two betrayals, one by my wife and another by someone else. If the other party happens to be just a golf buddy or someone of little significance, their betrayal might carry limited weight, merely categorizing them as another disrespectful person. However, if this person turns out to be a close family member, such as my father or brother, their betrayal might cut deeper than my wife's. After all, a wife isn't related by blood, and despite the anger that might erupt into a physical altercation with my brother, I might ultimately prioritize my family ties over my marriage. The revelation that my wife started an affair with my best friend, Tom, inflicted a profound wound, betraying not only our friendship but also the sanctity of our marriage. Tom had been my best man at my wedding, just as I had been for his younger brother at his own wedding. Our friendship spanned 2 decades since childhood, and he was fully aware of the significance of Sherry in my life and the unwavering commitment I had towards our marriage. His betrayal cut deep, severely weakening our once unshakable bond. However, amidst the turmoil of betrayal, there was clarity in my understanding with the receptionist. We shook hands, affirming that our friendship wouldn't be tainted by misunderstandings, and that shared interests like drinks and basketball wouldn't create a divide between us. Crossing the street towards the golf course, I found solace in the rhythm of hitting golf balls. Each swing felt like a perfectly balanced extension of my body, with the wooden clubs becoming sharp and precise. The satisfaction of hitting the 4-iron shot was particularly gratifying as the ball soared into the air, momentarily dispelling the weight of the betrayal. Feeling a surge of confidence, I decided to reach out to Tom and his wife Peg, inviting them to join me for dinner at Zios. Setting up the meeting for 7, I felt a sense of victory, akin to dominating with the 4-iron on the golf course. Upon arriving home at 6, I found Sherry already in the shower, her gym bag inviting my curiosity. Succumbing to temptation, I rifled through its contents but found nothing of significance. As I called out to Sherry, expressing my intention to join her in the shower, I realized that this might be my last opportunity to convey my love for her before things escalated further. As Sherry snuggled up to me, her satisfaction evident in her voice, we agreed to make such intimate moments a regular occurrence, reassuring me of her passion and genuine interest in our relationship. In that moment, a deep connection was forged, dispelling some of my doubts about our future. Contemplating my next moves, I resolved to meet Tom and Peg at the restaurant as planned. Despite the semblance of normalcy and camaraderie among the four of us, the weight of the impending conversation loomed heavy in the air, casting a shadow over our interactions. As the delicate topic was broached, Sher, sensing your palpable anxiety, extended her support by gently placing her hand on yours. Your inquiry regarding their hypothetical response to discovering betrayal from their closest confidants or a spouse's infidelity with their best friend cast a heavy silence over the room, intensifying the prevailing tension. Tom, Peg, and Sherry grappled with the weightiness of your inquiries, their expressions a canvas of contemplation. Tom's prolonged silence resonated loudly, betraying the depth of his transgression. Peg, grasping the gravity of the situation, reacted swiftly, delivering a resounding blow to Tom's face, her action punctuating the solemnity of the moment. The atmosphere seemed to grow thicker as time elongated, affording you the opportunity to relive past memories while grappling with the stark reality of the present circumstances. You couldn't help but observe the absence of Tom's usual wit, replaced by the raw truth of his actions. Tom's hesitation and Peg's decisive response underscored the seriousness of the situation, adding weight to the already tense air. Turning your gaze to Sherry, you posed the pivotal question of how to navigate her infidelity, leaving the decision between a tumultuous confrontation or a tranquil separation hanging in the air like a heavy fog. The room remained eerily quiet, accentuating the gravity of your words, each syllable reverberating with unspoken emotion. Tom, recognizing the weight of his misdeeds, attempted to offer an explanation, but before he could articulate his thoughts, Peg interjected with another forceful blow to his already bruised face, the sound echoing through the room like a thunderclap, reverberating with the finality of her actions. Time seemed to stretch once more, affording you a moment of contemplation amidst the chaos. Memories of light-hearted conversations with Tom flooded your mind, juxtaposed against the current turmoil, each memory a sharp contrast to the somber reality unfolding before you. Amidst the turmoil, you found yourself still holding Shear's hand, her grip frozen with shock, a tangible reminder of the fragility of trust. Suddenly, Peg swiftly exited the room, her departure leaving a palpable void in the space, the silence amplifying the tension that lingered like a heavy shroud. Turning to Tom, you calmly requested payment for the bill, a simple gesture masking the complex emotions roiling beneath the surface. With a composed demeanor, you ushered Sherry out of the restaurant, her initial words tinged with remorse, the weight of her actions hanging heavy in the air. As you drove, the torrent of emotions threatened to engulf you, each passing moment a tumultuous whirlwind of conflicting feelings. In a moment of frustration, you demanded clarity, questioning the sincerity of her remorse amidst the wreckage of your marriage, each word a dagger in the already wounded heart. Unable to contain your simmering anger, you abruptly stopped the car, confronting Cher with a firm ultimatum, the gravity of the situation bearing down on both of you like an insurmountable weight. The tension hung heavy in the air as Cher reluctantly stepped out of the car, confronted with the stark reality of her actions, the space between you filled with unspoken words and shattered trust. Returning home, you grappled with conflicting emotions, initially seeking solace in distraction before succumbing to a fiery outburst of anger, each moment a testament to the depth of your pain and betrayal. The ensuing hours were filled with a profound sense of significance, yet devoid of comfort, the weight of the night's events pressing down on you like an unyielding burden. Driven by anger and despair, you found yourself engulfed in a torrent of emotions, each wave crashing against the walls of your resolve, threatening to overwhelm you with their sheer force. Yet, as the morning dawned, a sense of calm enveloped you, the remnants of the previous night's turmoil a stark reminder of the irreversible change that had swept through your life, the dawn of a new day signaling the beginning of a journey fraught with uncertainty and introspection. With newfound resolve, you initiated a candid conversation with Tom, seeking closure amidst the chaos. You laid bare the complexities of the situation and confronted the harsh realities that lay before you. Each word spoken carried a weight that belied its simplicity, each sentence a step towards healing and understanding in the wake of betrayal. As I listened to Tom's remorseful words, a tumultuous storm of emotions raged within me, torn between the lingering vestiges of our once unbreakable friendship and the searing pain of his betrayal. Despite the raw anguish that gnawed at my heart, I couldn't ignore the sincerity in his voice, a poignant reminder of the depths of his regret and the gravity of his mistake. Yet, as the weight of his actions settled upon me, a steely resolve began to crystallize within my soul, a firm determination to sever all ties with him and forge a new path forward. With a heavy heart and a sense of finality, I delivered the crushing blow, severing the bonds of our friendship with a single, decisive stroke. Tom, our friendship is over because of this, I declared, the words heavy with the weight of our shared history. I don't care what happens between you and Peg. You're out of my life completely. You no longer exist in my world. Goodbye, Tom, I concluded, the finality of my words echoing in the empty silence that followed. In that moment of stark clarity, I realized that our friendship could never be salvaged, irreparably fractured by the betrayal that had torn us apart. Left to grapple with the aftermath of Tom's betrayal, I found myself adrift in a sea of uncertainty, the once solid ground beneath my feet crumbling away with each passing moment. Without a second thought, I made my way to Sherry's parents' house, seeking solace and understanding amidst the turmoil that threatened to consume me. As I stood on their doorstep, a wave of apprehension washed over me, uncertainty gnawing at the edges of my resolve. When Sherry's father greeted me with a sad and anxious expression, I felt a pang of sympathy for the pain that lurked behind his weary eyes. "How are you holding up?" I asked, my concern tinged with genuine empathy. As he led me inside, his voice heavy with emotion, I sensed the weight of his words, a somber reminder of the depths of his daughter's mistake. Seated at the kitchen table, surrounded by the ghosts of shattered dreams and broken promises, I struggled to find the right words to convey the gravity of my decision. Sherry looked pale and drawn, her eyes swollen from tears, a silent testament to the pain that lingered in the wake of her betrayal. With a heavy heart and a sense of finality, I outlined my decision, each word a painful reminder of the shattered remnants of our once happy union. "Here's what I've decided," I began, the weight of my words hanging heavy in the air. "I'm going to file for divorce," I concluded, the finality of my decision echoing in the empty silence that followed. The gravity of Sherry's betrayal hung heavily in the air, suffocating any lingering hope of salvaging our fractured marriage. "There's no point in discussing the possibility of saving this marriage," I asserted, my voice laced with resignation and sorrow. "You betrayed me, our marriage, and everything I believed in. I've made a firm decision. I don't want to be married to you anymore." The pain she had inflicted upon me was immeasurable, a wound that cut deep into the very fabric of our relationship. "The pain you've caused me is immeasurable, and I doubt you'll ever fully grasp the extent of what you've done," I lamented, the weight of my words heavy with sorrow and regret. Despite the love that once bound us together, I knew that our marriage was irreparably broken. "I know you love me, and it's because of that love that I'm choosing to divorce you," I explained, the finality of my decision hanging heavy in the air. "I want you to feel the pain of losing me and live with that burden." In the midst of our emotional turmoil, Sherry made a guttural sound, a haunting echo of the pain that reverberated through our shattered relationship. "It's really unsettling how similar the sounds we make in moments of pain are to the sounds of pleasure," I observed, a bittersweet realization that underscored the complexity of our emotions. Seeking some form of acknowledgement, I looked into Sherry's eyes, recognizing the sadness and pain etched on her face. "Are you listening, Sher?" I inquired, my voice tinged with a mixture of hope and apprehension. In response, Sherry lowered her head in silent agreement, her lips tightly pressed together as she contemplated the weight of my words. As the divorce proceedings loomed on the horizon, I outlined my further intentions with a sense of clarity and determination. "As soon as the divorce is finalized, and that won't happen quickly, we can consider the possibility of rekindling our relationship," I explained, my voice firm and unwavering. "But there's one condition. You must prove that you're a good person." Looking into Sherry's eyes, I conveyed the depth of my feelings with a mixture of longing and uncertainty. "I want you to understand that I once loved you, and now I'm giving you the opportunity to make me fall in love with you again," I confessed, the weight of my words hanging heavy in the air. "But know that I'm not going back. This marriage is now history." With a sense of finality, I reflected on the shattered remnants of our once happy union. "If you truly love me, you'll do your best to win me back," I concluded, my voice tinged with a mixture of hope and resignation. And with those words, our paths diverged, leading us down separate roads of healing and redemption. During my search for a new apartment, encounters with Sherry's father were brief and casual, devoid of any probing inquiries about Sherry herself. Instead, I subtly reiterated our agreement, making it clear that the divorce proceedings were proceeding as planned. It was a relief when, after just 4 months, the divorce was finalized, a shorter duration than the time Sherry spent entangled in her affair with Tom. Peg reached out to me twice following the incident at the restaurant, but I remained steadfast in my decision, informing her of the divorce from Sherry and outlining my conditions for potentially rebuilding our relationship. Surprisingly, Peg made no further attempts to contact me. Instead, I learned through mutual acquaintances that both she and Tom sought counseling for their relationship. Meanwhile, I embarked on a rejuvenating vacation filled with thrilling adventures like hiking and rock climbing in Chile. Engaging in physical activities served as a therapeutic outlet, allowing me to clear my mind and find solace in the beauty of nature. Upon my return, I found a message from Sherry on my work answering machine, prompting me to call her as I rode home from the airport in a taxi. Taking a more direct approach, I suggested meeting for a drink that afternoon, eager to address the lingering questions and uncertainties between us. As I arrived at the agreed-upon location, I spotted Sherry waiting in a booth, her demeanor reflecting a mix of apprehension and anticipation. Taking a seat across from her, I wasted no time in initiating the conversation, expressing my genuine interest in moving forward and seeking clarity on her intentions. In response to my inquiry, Sherry hesitated, her eyes betraying a hint of vulnerability as she struggled to articulate her thoughts. Finally, she revealed a shocking revelation: she was expecting a baby. The news left me speechless, my gaze involuntarily drawn to her slightly concealed stomach, where the truth of her pregnancy lay hidden. As Sherry dissolved into tears, the weight of her confession hung heavy in the air, casting a shadow over our already strained conversation. In that moment of profound shock and uncertainty, I found myself grappling with a myriad of emotions, unable to find the right words to convey my thoughts and feelings. In the wake of Sherry's shocking revelation, I found myself grappling with a whirlwind of emotions, too overwhelmed to think rationally. Silently, I took her hand and led her to a clinic for a DNA test, the weight of the situation heavy on my shoulders. As we drove, I trembled with a mix of disbelief and anger, unable to comprehend how Tom could ignore such an important message from Sherry about her pregnancy. Upon arrival at the clinic, we underwent the DNA test in tense silence, the air thick with uncertainty and apprehension. Afterward, I drove Sherry back to her parents' home, where we awaited the results with bated breath. That night, sleep eluded me as I lay awake, consumed by thoughts of what the test might reveal. The following afternoon, I received a call from the clinic, informing me that the results were ready. With a heavy heart, I made my way to the clinic, my mind racing with a million different scenarios. What I discovered upon receiving the results was nothing short of devastating. I was not the father of the unborn child. Overwhelmed by sorrow and tears, I sat in my car for what felt like an eternity, grappling with the harsh reality of the situation. With a heavy heart, I conveyed the news to Sherry via a text message, attaching a photo of the DNA test result. Despite her subsequent attempts to reach out to me, I made the difficult decision to cut off all contact, unwilling to reopen old wounds. In an effort to leave the past behind, I made the serious decision to purchase a house far away from Sherry and Tom, determined to start afresh. In the 7 months since then, I've focused on rebuilding my life, immersing myself in my work and my passion for sports. I've even found companionship in a girlfriend, with whom I share weekends away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. However, recent news about Sherry and her child's fate has brought a fresh wave of pain and sorrow. Learning about Sherry's struggles and the challenges she faces in raising her child alone has left me deeply saddened. Despite everything that has transpired between us, I can't help but feel a sense of empathy and compassion for her plight.